And you know, the name profit share has several meanings for me. One, whenever I do my deals, I share my profit with my capital partners. But I also want to share with you how you can profit more. And so this is why we came up with the name profit share. So one of the things that I found with my many phone calls with investors is that there is a lot of concern out in the marketplace. And concern leads to fear. Fear turns to panic, and panic causes paralysis. Now, for those of us who live in Silicon Valley, we know that there are a lot of engineers and that analysis paralysis is pretty common, but even more so now when there's all this uncertainty in the marketplace. But the reality is there's not a lot of uncertainty. There's only the story or the narratives that the media wants to give to you in order to keep you paralyzed. But the people that are going in and making the deals are going to be like those that came in after 2008 and made the money. Sorry about that. All right, so what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about facts. Facts alleviate fear. So most investors know what's happening. Good investors understand what's happening, but great investors act on what's happening. And this has always been my thing with SJREI is I not only want you to attend and learn, I don't want it to just be edutainment. I want you to make changes that impact your life and your legacy. And so tonight, I'm just going to share all with you. Like I have so much experience and I just want to share it with you so that you can feel confident and get out there and make a difference. So the question might be to you, why are you here? You know, one of the reasons might be that you're trying to stay informed. You know, there's this theory or this thought that once the mind expands, it can no longer contract. And I think for most of us, especially from the San Jose Bay Area, we're very education focused. We want to learn, we want to know, we love the learning process. And so that's what we're here for tonight, is that we want to be staying informed. We also want to manage risk. Maybe we already have investments. Maybe we're looking to make investments and we know that these are kind of uncharted territory. Nobody has the crystal ball, but let's kind of like get together and figure out what can we do to manage our risk. And we want to connect with each other, connect with other investors, because that helps us to stay sharper. So before I go too much further, I'd love to use the chat. If you can look in your messaging, find the chat. What I would love for you to do is tell me in the chat if you are a current investor. So go ahead and put yes if you already have investments in the marketplace. Tom, thanks. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, majority have investments. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask another question. Let's use the chat here. If you had the money, let's say that you've got an extra $1 million and you were presented with an opportunity, but you didn't know how to move forward, would you know who to reach out to help you move forward? So let's say you've got $1 million and you've got an opportunity that's in real estate. And do you know who you would reach out to if you didn't have the knowledge? I appreciate all of you that are saying, Lori. You know, I ask this because one of the most important things in any business to be successful is the relationships you have. You know, I used to always tell my kids, it's not what you know. And then they would go, no, it's who you know. And I'm like, no, 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 it's not even who you know, it's who knows you. So I just want to tell you all, I'm here. If you have a real estate deal that you're trying to do and you're not sure, you have a question, you're a little bit unconfident, you want facts, you want something that's going to encourage you to move forward, I really want you to reach out to me. I'm going to show you at the end how you can reach me with a little strategy call, but most of my contact information is out there. You guys have been following me for 15, 20 years with SJREI. Never pass up a deal due to lack of knowledge, because it's not the what, it's the who can help you. So that's what we're here about. And that's me going on about connecting with investors, but that's really my heart, is I want to be there to help you succeed. So in case you don't know about my background, I want to share a little bit about my background here. Back when I was a baby, I actually started my investment career pretty young. I was about 18 years old, going to college, and I bought my first house. But that was not my first experience in real estate or creative financing. My mom was a single mother of 3 children, and she was determined to not live on the county, not to live on public dole. And so she negotiated a contract for deed. Here in California, we call them agreement for deed, for a house. And it was a broken house. I mean, it was terrible. We moved in as kids. We became her labor. We were ripping out carpet, hanging sheetrock, laying tile. And we learned how to rehab from the inside out. And when the house got finished, it was beautiful. And she says, oh, let's go do it again. And we got to move into another broken house. So the bug was set early. And when I was 18, actually 19, I was going to college, and I came across a house that was for $40,000. It qualified for HUD. And back then for HUD, you could get into a home for $500 down. So my dad came, we converted the basement into an apartment, and it had 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms on the main floor. I went to the college, I found leases, I put together a whole plan where all the income from the house qualified me for the loan. And that was the start of my background. I have been in real estate over 30 years. I have done everything from fix and flip, REOs, buying bulk packages, selling to hedge funds, land entitlement, commercial, what else? Industrial, ground up development. I've done just about every strategy there is out there. And I found that my real niche is creative financing, fundraising, and value add for sure. In my history, I have done over $150 million worth of real estate. I've privately raised over $50 million. So I have a lot of transactions, at least 2,500 real estate transactions. And at any one time, I've owned over 1,500 doors. Currently, we have about 50 million of assets under management that mostly are all value add. We have one development project where we were able to add over $10 million worth of value. And this is a deal a student found, and working with me, we were able to add this value. We have a similar project that we're doing in Santa Cruz that will be adding about $26 million of value. So there's a lot of money to be made when you know how to do it. So how can I help you? Again, like I mentioned earlier, if you come across a deal, you feel like there's a deal there, reach out, let me know how I can help you, how I can coach you, and let all of my experience, both good and bad, be there for your guiding light. My advantage? Well, I'm pretty good at analyzing data and doing research. Obviously, I have some experience, and I'm going to tell you, not all of my experience is success. People kind of talk about, overnight success. Oh, you're an overnight success. No, there were a lot of lonely nights, years of struggle, failure. And you know what? You learn a lot more in failure than you do in success. But I'm still here and I'm still teaching. I'm still doing deals. And my big thing is relationships. I can tell you that relationships are recession proof. If you're worried about a recession, make sure that you're connecting with the right people. And lastly, execution. You can spend all your time learning, like I said, edutainment. You can spend all your time learning and knowing everything, but if you never take action, nothing ever happens. It's so important. Make a decision. And if it's the wrong decision, fail forward fast. Basically, oh, okay, wrong decision. Now I know not to do it that way. It's kind of the Thomas Edison light bulb thing. Well, we know all the ways not to make it work. So now let's make it work. So tonight we're going to talk about how to mitigate risk so that you can optimize your opportunities. And I look at due diligence as two parts. There's due diligence in the pre-offer or your preliminary due diligence. And then there's the post-offer due diligence. Now, it is not uncommon that people will spend days researching before they put an offer in. And by the time they get the offer in, the property is already sold or in contract with somebody else. I'm going to tell you here right now, it takes me less than 5 minutes. It takes me less than 5 minutes to do a due diligence before I write an offer. That's how you can write a lot of offers. Because if you're spending more than 5 minutes and somebody else gets the property, that's time that you never get back. So one of the things that happens, with SJREI, we get a lot of people, especially people who go to these boot camps, and they'll come in and, they'll have all these great offers because they're told how to do it. And so I had this one gentleman, probably, young 20s, came in and called me up, and he was telling me all about this property. And we're about 3 minutes into the phone call. And finally I said, hold on. Let me ask you this question about this property. Do you have it under contract yet? And he was like, oh no, I was afraid to write a contract. And I said, you know what? When it's under contract, call me back. Until then, you're just wasting your time and my time. Now, at first he was a little miffed, but afterwards he called me back. He goes like, I'm so glad you told me to go write the contract. I would have missed out if I hadn't written it that night. That's the point. When you write the contracts, you can still get out, but it at least gives you control over the property to go on and do further due diligence. So now Steve Jobs, his quote is, I'm actually as proud of the things we haven't done as the things that he has done. And so what I say is that, it's really important to start every deal at no. When somebody tells you, this is the deal of a lifetime, this is the deal of the century, you got to jump on it right now. Your first response should be no. Then you let the data change your mind. And if you can do that, it's much better than going into every deal thinking that you have to perform on every deal. You will spend a lot of time and money wasting resources. So in the pre-offer due diligence, there's a few steps here. Again, this should not take more than 5 minutes. If you decide that you want to write an offer, make sure you understand what your exit or strategy is. You have to start with that. Are you buying it to flip it? Are you buying it to wholesale it? Are you buying it to rent it out? Are you doing a value add? Because until you understand what that is, you don't know what your exit value might be. Based on your exit value, determine an offer that works. So you're back into your offer. What is the maximum offer you can make based on your exit. Write it up and write in a due diligence period. So many years we had in California, especially, oh, you got to take it as is, no due diligence, zero due diligence. I never wrote a single offer with zero due diligence. I always got at least 5 days. Now you can do 20, 21 days and nobody is going to have an issue with that. But write it with the due diligence period. What that means is if you get done with your due diligence within that period and you don't like the price you're at, or you don't like the terms you're at, you can either cancel or renegotiate. But it gives you the time. So now you control the property. And the next step, don't do anything until your offer is accepted. Because again, that's time you never get back. Now, a lot of our tonight is going to be spent on the post-offer due diligence. And there's really 3 steps that I break this up into. There's market analysis, property analysis, and financial analysis. And this can take some time if you're really, getting started. If you don't know the market or you don't know this type of property, it could take weeks. It could take months, depending on the size. So this is really where you want to spend your time and dig in. So I'm going to go ahead and put a few of these up here. I have 10 steps under market analysis that I pay attention to. First and foremost, I look at what are the economic indicators for this market, the demographics, the real estate market trends. So if you're buying properties, let's say in the Rust Belt, are there enough people to create demand for what you're buying? If you're buying a large multifamily complex, are you going to have large vacancies because the demographics don't support it? What are the local economic indicators? Or if you're doing a redevelopment project, is there support there? The big thing that I love is the infrastructure and development. Are there new roads going in? Is there a new airport coming in? Are government policies changing? In California, one of the huge things that we get to have as a bonus is the state of California is offering all of these density bonuses when the municipalities are not participating right. For example, if you own land in San Jose, because San Jose has not met their requirements as far as housing, you can take just about any type of area. It could be industrial, it could be commercial, it could be office, and make it residential. So you have to understand these government policies. Neighborhood analysis. You always want to have the smallest house and the biggest, richest neighborhood possible. Never be the biggest house when everybody else around you is small. When I was doing bulk REOs, so bulk REOs is where you would buy packages from the bank, maybe 10, 15, 20 houses at a time. And the due diligence that we had for those was essentially they'd give us addresses and they'd give us an hour. And they would say, do you want the package or not? You had to buy everything that was in the package, but you didn't necessarily have to buy the package. So we would use Google and Google Earth, and we would take a look at the neighborhood. What does it look like from there? Are there cars parked in the street? What do the cars look like? Are there bars on the windows of the houses? Are there empty houses? Are there vacant lots, like the house got knocked down? So we would make all these analysis of the neighborhood before we would decide whether we liked the package or not. And we came up with a proprietary system where we would score, all of these components, these 10 components in the 3 separate areas, so there's 30 metrics that would tell us whether or not we want to move forward. So we have employment sectors. Now, this is a big piece here. Employment is a big piece because People have to be employed in order to pay rent or to buy homes. Rental market analysis, competition analysis, and future growth prospects. So these are all some of the metrics that we use in our market analysis. And I just want to share with you some of the tools that we use to put all this together. Google is amazing. You have an address, type in the address and see what shows up. Kind of follow it through. Google Earth, where you can see what do the houses look like? What does the neighborhood look like? What do the cars look like? Zillow, just going to Zillow and seeing what does it say, you know, other houses around the area are worth. And this is something that I'm not sure a lot of people know. You can get data that is downloaded in CSV files from Zillow. So if you do Zillow data, you just type that into Google, you get this beautiful website where you can choose different zip codes or different areas that you want to download economic data, housing data, sales data. Another place that we would use are bestplaces.net. Used to be Sperling's Best Places, but bestplaces.net will give you information on employment. It'll give you information on any changes coming in, the cost of living, the economics of the people that live in that area. Chamber of Commerce for any municipality is huge. Another one that I really like is going to planning and zoning departments. So I was working with one of my students and I had told them that it's not uncommon that a city will have a general plan saying this area is going to be industrial, this area is going to be office. But then there'll be an area that they say, we want to redevelop this area. We want it to look different, to feel different. And in this redevelopment area, we'll give you development bonuses, like you can have higher density, you can build higher, we'll give you tax credits, we'll give you, you know, different things. If you find those areas, then that's a place to target for properties. And that's exactly what we did with our San Carlos Commons property, the one that is in West San Carlos over by Santana Row. A student found that property. And now after 3 years, we've added more than $10 million of value to that property just by changing and following what the zoning and planning department wanted for those properties. City websites are also huge tools to find out information. So once you've figured out the market and you're pretty confident that the market is good, the next thing is to go into the property analysis. It makes no sense to spend all your time analyzing the property if the market's not going to support it or your exit. So property condition, again, you can just like order a property inspection for something like that. Legal compliance, order a title report, environmental assessments. If you're doing development, you'll have to hire people to go out and assess the environment, assess the soils, make sure that you can actually do the development that you want without too much impact. There are all kinds of consultants and such that can help with property valuation, but you can also figure most of this out yourself. Tenant quality, property management. Now I'm going to stop on property management for a minute. So I was rehabbing and selling thousands of properties to hedge funds in Atlanta, Georgia. Like every month I'd sell anywhere between 30 and 100 properties tenanted to hedge funds in Atlanta. And I thought, how awesome, let's go to another market that's nearby. And so we went to Birmingham, Alabama, which is maybe 90-minute drive away. And we set up operations there. But what we found out is that by having such a small metropolitan area, we had a really hard time getting quality property management. Like there was just only a handful of professional property managers in the area. There were a lot of mom and pops, but nobody that could handle the volume we were looking for, which meant that we weren't able to sell to the hedge funds at the level we wanted. So that's a big one. historical performance, scalability potential, and risk factors. You know, that's always important to look at the property analysis. I always tell people the location can never be changed. The property can always be changed, but the location can never be changed. So this is where it's like you get on Google Earth and you take a look. Does the property back up to a highway? Does it have power lines near or going through it? Are there other risk factors in the property's location or the property itself that can't be fixed? Is it near a water treatment plant or a sanitation dump? These are all things that you need to understand before you go forward. And then financial analysis. You know, what's the income potential? What's the expense potential? What are your financing options? And this is the big thing that everybody's concerned about right now is like, what's out there for capital? But you know what? It's not always just going to a bank. Sometimes the person selling it is willing to do financing options because they don't really know what they're going to do with their money anyway. Cash flow analysis, super important. Tax implications. Now, I say implications, but it's also tax benefits, right? If you have a property that's going to give you depreciation and offset your income, that's a big reason why some of us do real estate. So there's a lot of different metrics you can use. What's the cash on cash return? What's the internal rate of return? What's your development ratio? Always important to understand break even. And then sensitivity. This is something that I think most investors forget. Like, what is more important? The cost of the property manager or the rent? So if you are trying to set up, let's just say, a single family house for a rental, and you're getting $2,000 a month for rent, and your property manager charges you 10%, but then you find a property manager that charges you 8%. Okay, so you're going to run all your analysis on that. But what if your rent drops to $1,500 because of vacancy or market changes? Does that affect your performance more than the cost of the property manager? So understanding what metrics create that sensitivity and which one gives you more profit, but just understanding that so you can manage that properly. Funding structures, again, super important. And exit strategy. Now here, I always say, create your exit strategy before you buy, but then you also need plan B, because we know, I mean, you got 2008, you've got COVID, you have interest rates that went up how many points, like 5% in 18 months. Things change. That's one thing you can count on, is that things will change. And so you have exit strategy 1 and exit strategy 2. Always make sure you have a backup plan before you go forward, because things change. So here's some tools that I use that kind of go both for property analysis and for financial analysis. Excel is your friend. If you don't know how to use Excel, take a little course, masterclass, whatever, online. Learn how to use Excel and build formulas in it. And then we've paid thousands of dollars for custom analysis programs that allow us to analyze properties and analyze the financials and the markets to make sure that we're investing successfully with our properties. And you need to create teams. A team is a tool. Understanding your relationships with brokers and real estate agents, title companies, inspectors, tax accountants, capital partners, lenders. These are all tools that you need and that you will use. You know, the one tool I forgot to mention, our phone. Sometimes you just have to pick up the phone and make the phone call, and you will find out so much information with that. So I wanted to cover here just a little case study. So this is a property that was brought to us through a real estate agent. It had been in contract a couple times, and both times it fell out of contract. as you can see, it's a pretty substantial rehab that was in this area. So Madera is in the area of Menlo Park, East Menlo Park area. And the market value was 1.9, and we negotiated a purchase price of 1.2 based on the rehab that was necessary and the fact that the sellers just really needed to exit. I wanted to give you a little bit of a map. Now, I could have just bought this house, rehabbed it, put it back out, and honestly probably made $200,000. There was probably more than enough room for that. That would have been about a 6 to 9 month rehab. But I'm very aware of what's going on in the economy, in the local municipality for development. And this particular property is right here on Ivy and Madera in Menlo Park. Over here on the right, you're going to see Facebook's proposed Willow Village. So now this is up where Menlo Park, Facebook, Meta, I guess now they're called Meta, is looking to create an entire village. So we're very close to this. So the location, while right now might not seem ideal, is actually really going to be ideal in the future because of all the development that's coming in and around it. So then using Google a little bit more, I did a visual, and I just want to tell you, I bought this property sight unseen. Like I literally closed on it sight unseen, but it doesn't mean I didn't do my due diligence, and it doesn't mean I didn't have things inspected. But this is how I start my process before I even write the offer. So I did an overview to see where the lot was, and I happened to notice it's on a corner. Corners are always good properties. Why? Because you can often do a lot split on a corner lot. So now I'm thinking, all right, I have a corner lot near an area that's going to have huge growth. I'm already getting it at somewhat of a discount, where plan A could be rehab it and sell it. But what if my plan B is better than plan A? Understanding the rules and regulations of our government, there is this SB, State Bill 9, that's in play that allows me to split this lot even if the municipality doesn't let me split it. Because again, the state of California wants more housing. So SB 9 lets me split this lot. But SB 9 also allows me to put 2 units on each lot. So I could put a house and an ADU, or I can put 2 equally sized houses on each lot, like a duplex or like separated townhouses. So now this one parcel here could literally be 4 new units. And the projected profit on this is $2.5 million. Okay. So this is where, one, doing due diligence can also help you create better deals because you're understanding what's going on in the municipalities. So here's another deal. This one is in Florida. I already own a house at 1902 Arrowhead Drive. So this particular house is just down the street from where I live. It's an old 1940 Spanish Mediterranean house. And current market value is about 1.5, but I know the real estate agent that owns the house. And she's like, oh, I'll sell it to you for 1.4, won't charge any commissions. If I buy this, my ARV, my after repair value, could be about $4 million. Now, let me just show you a little bit about where this is. So this is near Tampa. Tampa is over here, upper right-hand corner of your screen. And we're here on the left with the red dot. Okay. So it's really close, Tampa Bay, easy access. And using Google, I can see here that this is actually about a lot and a half. So it's not the typical lot size like 1934. It's actually larger than a lot size, but it's only built on half. It has 100 feet of seawall, which is, allows you to put some pretty big boats like sailboats like our neighbors. So this is a fabulous location, brilliant size lot. Let me see if I got one more picture. Nope, I don't. So yeah, so anyway, we work with an architect, and in this particular area, anything new that you're building has to be built above flood zone. You may have heard this year there was a hurricane. The hurricane didn't really hurt St. Petersburg, but what happened is we had surge. Surge comes in, and the surge actually can get in and ruin a lot of things. It's the water that comes in from the bay, which is salt water, and it ruins things. And so FEMA requires everything new be built above sea level. Now, the original house was not built above sea level, and the original house was about 2,400 square feet. The rule is that you can leave the existing house, but you can only add on up to 50% of FEMA value. So at this point, FEMA said that we could build on an equivalent of $240,000, which essentially would be another 1,000 square feet. And it would have to be bedrooms. It could not be a kitchen or anything. So we'd have to reconfigure a lot of things. So that just ended up being too costly to do that. So we thought, all right, what happens then if we scrape the existing house and we put on something like this house where it's elevated above the floodplain? Because it really only needs to be elevated 5 feet from where it is right now. And we build 4,000 square feet house. Well, it turns out that we would be in it for about 3.7 million with the land, demo, construction, permits, holding costs, because it takes 18 months. And so, yeah, if we sell it for 4 million, well, we're pretty thin. We're not making a good return on our cost. So that particular deal, I put it under contract. I did my due diligence, and then I canceled. That's what I recommend you do. Don't spend all the time trying to figure it out until you have it under control. So now it's time for me to answer questions. If you have any questions about anything I've covered, let's go ahead and just raise your hand, either Zoom hand or real hand. And let me see if I can answer your questions. I know there was a lot of information there. No questions? Everybody knows how to do due diligence? All right, Bola, go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, hi Lori. I know past couple of years, I think with you, I would have loved to work with you, but of course, at the time I didn't have the financial means to back that up, and that's still kind of the similar situation right now, but with due diligence. Would you think, well, actually I have two questions. With due diligence, do you believe that it will help in our quest in finding these properties in terms of residential real estate, or and
So due
also
diligence,
beyond?
yeah, so due diligence isn't going to help you find properties, but it might help you find a way to create a deal, right? So like that house in Menlo Park on Madeira, that came to me as just a simple fix and flip, right? But
Mm-hmm.
by doing my due diligence and understanding the area and the government and all the changes, I actually saw a greater value to it than what it
Mm-hmm.
came to me as. So due diligence can actually help you it can help you take a good deal and create a great deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my other question is, will this be because I tried to find last week's recording,
Mm-hmm.
couldn't find it. And I'm just wondering, is that already up? And will this be up as well?
Yes. So the recordings should be emailed to you with a link. And if you're not getting it, just shoot me an email and we'll follow up.
Okay.
My email is Lori, Lori at fundingfaceoff.com. So it's
Okay.
Lori, Lori at fundingfaceoff.com. But yeah, they should be emailed out to you. We don't really have a website right now that we're posting them on, but they'll eventually end up out in YouTube. Yep.
All right, no worries. Thank you.
You're the best. Thank you. All
You're the
right.
best. You're the best.
Thanks. Stanley, go ahead and unmute. And what's your question?
Hey, Lori, when you split the lot under SB 9, don't you have to occupy it for a while?
You have
Isn't
to
it a
occupy
requirement?
you have to occupy one of the 4 units that we're putting there. Yes.
So how do you flip? Do you flip the other 3?
Yeah. Yep.
Good deal.
I don't know. They're pretty beautiful houses. I'll live in one for a few years.
I'd say.
In reality, I travel a lot anyway, so why not? So, all right, Albert, welcome. What's your
Yes.
question?
So you mentioned to find out what may be happening in an area, to go to the city, and you gave a couple of resources there. Is there one site that kind of like bundles it all up and makes it a little easy? Because why not if it's there? So
I
you basically
wish there was like one site you could get everything at, but every municipality, so every
ask.
county, every city has their own rules and regulations, their own development requirements. So you really have to go to each city website to find out what they have there for their development.
Is that information usually on their website as far as what's coming up and what have you?
Yeah, so if you go to their planning and zoning websites, so like let's say that you wanted to do San Jose, you would just type in Google, which is one of my favorite places to always start, San Jose planning and zoning, and it'll bring up the different websites to you. So then you go to their website and you can type in redevelopment. That's the keyword, redevelopment. And then you'll see, oh, well, we have urban village in Little Portugal. We have urban village in West San Carlos, so then you can kind of research, what is urban village? What does that mean? Same thing, you can kind of go to like state regulations regarding housing, and you'll see, SB 9 and builder's remedy, I think is AB 303 or something like that. So builder's remedy is where you can like take just about anything and make it into residential. So you just have to kind of research those. Yeah.
Okay. Great. That's great information. Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Okay. So I just want to provide another opportunity to serve you, for you to get the information you need to be successful in your investments. So if you go out to go.oncehub.com/strategy call with Lori, that'll get you to my calendar. It's the link that you can use to book time with me. And the way it works is when you go to book here, there's going to be some questions. And yes, these questions are required because they're going to help me fast track our call and be most useful to you. So answer the questions, like it's going to take you 5 minutes or less, but take the time to really think through the answers to the questions so that when we do get on a phone call together, I can add value and I can help you move forward with your next step. Okay. And when you do book one of those strategy calls with me, I'll email you my due diligence checklist in the order of how I do my due diligence, throw in some of the websites. I've already shared some of them and how I do it. This is something that's been, over 30 years of creating and coming up with and refining. So it's not a tool that I just share with everybody. But if you're willing to spend a few minutes with me where I can help you, I'll share it with you also. So next week, and this is a big topic, how to find deals. And I'm going to be honest with you, some people get deals kind of handed to them and they even know they're a deal, but they're not sure how to move forward with it. So I just always want you to feel free to reach out to me. You can send the deals to deals@fundingfaceoff.com. You can go to me direct, but if you send it to deals, at least it'll get partially underwritten before I take a look at it. And it would be great to have some deals to analyze live next week. So if you've got deals that you'd like me to pull up and share with the group, email them to me before the meeting. I'd like to get those on Monday so that we have time to put them in the presentation. So go ahead and do that. And again, if you want to get on a call with me this week, go out to the link here, fill out the survey, and let's chat. Okay. That's all I have for you guys tonight. We will see you here next week, 6 p.m., same place, same night, same time. Have a great week.